is always easy when you're in Cardone U. We role play with Grant Cardone's team. They know just what to do. They're always there to support us. We couldn't ask for more. On our way in the right direction, we found what we're looking for. In FLC, in FLC. Closing is better with appointment setters. You'd better believe we're not a team but a family. We work together in harmony. We are devoted, and that you can quote me, in FLC. We welcome the newbies gladly. We know there's so much to learn. We got your back for a lifetime. There's no need for concern. Just look at the world around you. There's deals to close everywhere. And if you face an objection, what would Jabari say? In FLC, in FLC, objections are easy. If you don't believe me, I have to agree. We can role play at any time. To disagree, that is a crime. We're practicing to get the cha-chings in FLC, in FLC. Since we started training, our leads ain't complaining. They're so happy. We get to role play with Big Brother Dave. We got Coach Sean, the best coach ever born, in FLC. All of our closers, they keep their composure. 10X is the goal, Uncle G, well he knows. We've got the spirit, and you got to hear it. We're FLC.
Woohoo! Hello. I did a complete change. Misty, you might be confused, everyone else. I was like this the whole time. Oh my goodness. It feels like ages since last week. I don't know if that's just me, but I am so excited to be back. Today we are talking about changing your habits for success. So what does that mean? How do we do that? Why is it important? Let's get into it. We have been studying the book Atomic Habits, and we really want to share what we've learned with you. And I am just so excited. So, Misty, what would you say your biggest takeaway or takeaways so far from this book is?
First of all, you look amazing. And I love the shirt. The shirt's like on point.
Thank you.
If anybody wants any of the FLC merch, let us know and we'll get you the info. Look at that. That's so awesome. I'm so excited. Yay. Anyway. So what my takeaway was is, first of all, for the lack of sounding like a jerk or whatever, I was right. I'm right as in saying that you don't want to, when I use the analogy, you don't want to diet, you want a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you want, right? Because when you look at, say, like your New Year's resolution, we're almost 3 weeks into it, 3 weeks into January, which is kind of nuts. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are already giving up on their New Year's resolution. It's because they're not changing the habits. They're not changing the systems that create the habit, right? Mm-hmm. So,
by the way, write this stuff down.
Yeah, this is amazing. So, it just kind of solidifies what I was thinking. Like I said, not to sound like a jerk or like I'm conceited or something, or I know better than anybody else. But it was like, okay, I get it. I understand why that made sense to me and why I was looking at it this way. I knew internally, but somehow it was like trying to explain it to other people. It didn't make sense. Mm-hmm. I just sounded like I was an idiot or being mean or something. And I don't mean to come off that way at all. However, it is when you're wanting to change habits, you have to change the systems, right?
Yeah.
In other words, the process and the thought process of why you're doing something. I believe in the book, they said at one point, you have to change the bad habits you have first before you can create new habits.
Mm.
So, that being said, before we go too far into that, I want to know what you thought about it, what you thought, because I know it was,
Oh my
I've
goodness.
had a lot of aha moments. I've had to restart the book over again, and I'm not even done with the first chapter.
Mm.
Take
So I was blown away. I didn't realize how powerful and how quickly it would become so powerful. And Seb has been recommending this book for a while, our whole team, and I see why now. It is so important to realize that the big goal you want is so achievable when you make little changes. My big, like, if I had to pick one big learning, it's allowing yourself to become a tiny bit better each day, and not suddenly waking up and thinking, I'm changing my whole life. Like, this is what I'm doing. You are going to be so much better off in the long run. So the audiobook, they say, even if you get 1% better each day, by the end of the year, you're going to turn out, 37 times better than how you started. That is so crazy. And it's just the thought of building the fundamental habits and creating that slowly but surely, in the end will make such a massive difference. And it's so much more achievable and maintainable than waking up one day and changing your whole life like this. Like that, you will resort back to your old self. But if you just allow yourself to make those tiny little changes, you'll be unrecognizable in a year, even in a month. But yeah, great.
Yeah, I like how they use several different analogies, like the airplane when you're traveling from LA to New York, just pointing the nose of the plane, what is it, 3.5 degrees. If you really think about how small that change is, it's like maybe just a couple feet.
Mm-hmm.
And you can end up, in the long run, end up miles apart. That's just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And then the one where they use the ice cube. If you take an ice cube out and you have it, and you take it out and you set it at 25 degrees, right? And slowly raise the temperature 25, 26, 27. And then you're getting upset because you're not seeing any instant melting. It's not changing, right?
Yeah.
That's what we all do. We want instant gratification. We want to see that change instantly. Even if you're going to the gym, you want that. Let's do this. I want the change. I'm going to go. I'm going to work really hard one day, and I'm going to instantly see this this change. Hi, Tibbs. And but it doesn't work that way. And then they're talking about with that ice cube, and you don't see the change until you get it up to, what is it, 32 degrees, and then it starts to melt. They're like, all that other work you did is not wasted. It's stored.
Mm-hmm.
It's stored. So when at the right moment, that's when the change actually really, you start noticing it.
Yeah. And sorry, go ahead. That's the thing, right? Like, people get so frustrated when they don't see the change straight away. And I have definitely been guilty of this myself. When you don't see things changing straight away, you tend to think, oh, what's the point? And you give up on it. But we were just talking before coming live today, right? It's one day what you want will happen. You will have this massive success, and that's all the outside people will see. And same with you, with other people. You see people's success. What you don't see is the months, years, decades that they have been leading up to this success by training every day, becoming 1% better every day. it's the little habits, the tiny little habits, like waking up half an hour earlier, drinking water. These tiny little habits will skyrocket your success, and you won't notice it at first, but one day it you will, and you'll sit back and think, damn, like everything I've done for the past couple years has led me here. So you just have to be patient, and it takes a special type of person to carry on working towards their goals even when they're not seeing results, because they know that they will one day. So keep going.
Yeah, that brings me to the what I keep thinking about when we're talking about those little steps and those little changes, the 1% a day. I think Chibs can correct me on this, the statistics, but I think they say 72% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years because people give up, because they don't see the instant gratification. They don't see the instant money coming in, right? But what you have to realize is that anything worth having is worth working hard for. And just by changing 1% in a positive way on a daily basis will add up. And one analogy they used in the book, Atomic Habits, is it takes bamboo 5 years of growing a root system before you see the growth house come out of the ground, right? So it'll grow 5 years. I don't know if that's me or you doing that. Probably.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too.
So the bamboo will take 5 years growing a root system, a solid foundation, and then it will shoot up 90 feet in 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So think about that. The small growth that you don't see that's underground are you laying a good foundation to any new habit, new lifestyle change, new business. And then at one point, when you've got enough of that good solid foundation, then it shoots up and it takes off.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to keep going and believing in yourself and knowing changes I'm making now are going to make a difference. It may take 5-10 years, but it's going to come.
Yeah.
And it's going to be huge, because then you have, over the time, you can look back and say, we do it with FLC, right? We, like Jabari will talk about it too. If you look at it, where we were at a year ago, and then 6 months ago, and where we're at now, there's so many changes, and we're so different, and what we're doing is so different. It's huge change. It's just completely different. And that was us taking small changes and adding to it every day and just keep going.
Yeah, exactly. It's the power is in the little things you do. And I hope anyone watching can't hear the the feedback we're hearing, because this has happened before. But yeah, the like what you were talking about, systems. Think of the big goal and think, what do I need to do today to get there? And this is advice that I give people on service calls. Think, and I heard this from Seb. So think of what you can do today, not what am I gonna do for the rest of the year. What can I do today to get towards that goal? And you might not be able to do much in the grand scheme of things, but for that day, you did quite a lot, and suddenly you're a little, like a step closer towards your goal. But in a year, 2 years, 10 years, you've taken how many steps each day? So yeah, it's my point I'm trying to make in a long-winded way is trust the process of taking a little bit of action each day and becoming a little bit better each day.
Yeah, a lot of us think that we're not doing enough, and we're not doing, like, we do some small thing and then we're just not doing enough every day, right? But what the book Atomic Habits says, and what we've been saying, is the tiny action now makes a huge difference in the long run. you can't look for the instant change because not everything's going to change instantly. We're not baking a cake. Even if you're baking a cake, you can't just say, okay, here's the ingredients, boom, it's done, right? You have to put the ingredients together, mix them in a certain way, put them into a greased pan. You have to put the pan into the oven. You have to cook it and wait so long. Then you have to take it out, let it cool, take it out of the pan. You have to, there's so many different steps to it.
Yeah.
So that it's the same thing when you're creating a habit for success. You have to take the system, look at, okay, what am I doing now? And the results I'm getting now, and how can I tweak this just a little bit, change that system to get this other result. And then, so there's small actionable changes. And every tiny action makes a huge difference. Right?
Yeah.
That noise just kind of throws me off.
No, I know, me too. I really hope
It's like,
other people can hear it. It's very distracting.
It is. But yeah, so it's what I wanted to bring up is because the book says this, right? They say these changes can go either way, go either positive or negative. And that's back to mindset. Depending on what you're going to focus on and what your self-talk is and what your environment is, to what outcome you're going to get. So say you are in a negative environment and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to make this change, but it's not going to work. I don't think this is going to happen. It's not going to, and you're going to stay in the same position, or you're going to end up in a worse position you're already in. So we have to change that mindset and start thinking, hey, I can do this. This is the small change I'm making. This is the change I'm going to get. And keep your environment around you positive. That's why I have so many of these sayings and stuff all over my house, because I made a bad joke once. My sister and I were at her house and I was talking. I'm like, so what blood type are you? She goes, well, I'm positive, some positive. And I'm like, oh, really? She goes, yeah, why? What are you? And I said, I'm O negative. And she goes, okay. So then I said some other statements. She goes, yeah, but you just have to remain positive about the situation. I'm like, I know, but it's kind of hard since positivity runs in my blood, I mean, negativity runs in my blood. And she goes, that's very funny.
That's funny.
But I was raised in a negative environment. Not that my mother meant it that way, but it was her trying to work out her own negativity, and it kind of just rubbed off on me. So I'm always around negativity, and I try to change that. So by having this stuff all over my house, the good sayings and everything, and trying to surround myself with positive people like everybody in FLC, I changed them. I am a completely different person than I was at the beginning of the last year. I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So it's just small changes make a huge difference.
Yeah, and it's crazy just how much easier it is to remain on that good path when you allow yourself to be okay with making small changes. There's this whole culture around, especially New Year, changing your life. Like, you wake up January 1st and you are a new person. New year, new me. Like, sure, you are a new you because now you're deciding to go for this goal, but it doesn't work like that. You're going to get a week in. If you change everything at once, you start waking up. So, okay, imagine you're used to waking up at 12 p.m. like the afternoon. You eat poorly, you stay in bed all day, like you don't drink water, and suddenly January 1st you're like 6 a.m. go to the gym, eat healthy all the time, don't let yourself go off that, drink only water, never go out. That's not going to last long. Like, if I'm the one to break this to you, I'm very sorry, but we're truthful at FLC and that will not last. However, if you make it a year's goal, by the end of the year, that's who you are. Like you wake up early, you go to the gym a couple times a week, you eat good, and you eat not so good as well sometimes. That is balanced, and you drink lots of water. That's who you want to be at the end of the year. Make tiny little changes. Make each subject, each category, you change each month, or for example, and that is so much more attainable. And I'm repeating myself a little bit, but I think about this all the time. So much more attainable than expecting yourself to change in a night.
Yeah. It's like the atomic habit even mentions it, right? That that's so distracting. That when you're trying to change habits, it's like I said with a diet. The diet is something you force yourself to do and you fail at. So a habit change is trying to decide like really big changes right away. It's something you're setting yourself up to fail at. Yes, there's a lesson in that, but you're setting yourself up to fail it and it's not sustainable. You have to look at how can I change myself as a person to become the person I want, to have the life I want. What do I need to change in small increments in order to get there, right? So you're not just changing, in the long run, you're not just changing habits and you're going to remain the same person. You're changing who you are. So that becomes more natural and you can become the person you want and live the life you want, have the success you want, because you're changing yourself into the person you're wanting to be. Right? That makes sense? Makes sense.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. And it how do I say? It's so true. It's so true. Everything here is so powerful. And I'd love, I want to keep reading and listening to this book, and I'd love to revisit this subject as well, maybe a couple times more, because there's so much here, and we're only like 20 minutes, half an hour into a 6-hour long thing.
It's good, isn't it?
It's so good. The biggest thing, how do I say? What am I trying to say? What I'm thinking. Have your big goal. Yes, have that massive goal, but have goals on the way to get there that contribute to that goal. When I say that, what I think of is when Chavaria was talking about how Mark Zuckerberg had the number of users for Facebook on the wall, and every time they had to make a decision, they would look at the number and think, does this positively or negatively impact that number? And based on the answer, they would do or not do whatever it was. So you can have that massive goal, a couple of massive goals, but if you don't have incremental goals on the way to get there and incremental changes, it's going to seem much more daunting and much harder to get there. But I think the overlying message of what I'm trying to say is consistency, and you will get consistent once you start making those little changes.
Yeah. And they have to be something. I think the changes you're making, like they keep telling you that 1% change every day makes a huge impact. It doesn't have to be something difficult. I think looking at it in a way of like, what am I doing? What are the actions I'm taking in the position I'm in right now? What are the actions I need to take in order to get into the position I want to be in? And starting there and looking at those, okay, I think changing the system and looking at the system of how you do something and changing those makes the changing the habit and success so much easier than just trying to just say, okay, I'm going to cold turkey this and do this. It doesn't work, and it's proven not to work. If it's worked for you, fantastic. Hoo-ha-hoo, keep going. But for the majority of us, life doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. We have to do it in increments and really focus on the smaller goal or smaller system, the actions. Well, what am I doing now? What needs to change? And how can I do that and make it sustainable so I can continue to do it on a daily basis? Right?
Exactly. And if you think about it, say like your house, what your house or your flat, where you live in right now, what it looks like right now, it didn't look like the day you moved in, did it? Like the years, days, months, years, lifetime that you've been there, you've slowly but surely been adding things and changing things and moving things around. But it doesn't mean that you were ever in a space where like you didn't want to live there. Like, oh, it's not worth living here until it's perfect, because your perception of what you want and what you want to do with the place, just speaking with a house example, will change daily, weekly, monthly. And you'll constantly be changing things, and you'll be happy with that change until you want to change it again, and then you change it and you'll be happy with that change. But each time it gets closer and closer to what you actually want it to be like. And I think that reflects into life and building habits. You might change a little thing here and there, like and it might not seem like much, but at the end of the day, at the end of the year, or I'm talking year because we just started a year, your life is totally different, and it's like, how did this happen? Because I know that if I look back at photos of my old room when I was little, it's so different, and I didn't even notice it changing until now. So yeah.
And I just want to bring up that statistic you gave at the beginning. The 1% changing 1% a day over a year can leave you with a 37% improvement over the entire year. Think about how much you do in a day. 1% is like a grain of salt. I mean, come on. It's doable. Everybody can do it. We just have to decide, am I going to do this and take the action for it? Are we going to do it in a positive way, in a negative way? What direction are we going in? Right?
Yeah. 100%. And I love this subject. I know we're getting close to the end now. So the whole message I feel like I've been trying to convey, Misty, like the underlying thing is that it's okay to go slowly, and it might seem like to get to where you want to be, you have to change really fast, because it is hard to have this big goal and you want to be that person straight away, and yes, you step into that character straight away. Like, what would that person do every day? That, yes, like a mindset, yes, but the things you do, you need to take it slowly so that it's manageable. And what I just thought is, it is hard to do that and stop yourself from changing everything at once, because that can be exciting. Like, for a week when you're that new person, like who you want to be, it's exciting, but it's not sustainable. So in the grand scheme of things, you have so many years, so much time left. Allow yourself for this year, just take this year to slowly change, and I promise you, we promise you, you will be a different person, and you will be that person you want to be, and you will stay that person if you take it one step at a time, little baby steps rather than the big leap. I need to work on that. So yeah, we're all in this boat together, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, I want to challenge everybody to reframe your thinking on habits and on your New Year's resolution. Change the thought process. Reframe your thinking on that. Look at it from a different standpoint. If you really want change, then you have to be patient with yourself and really be willing to put in the hard work and look for ways for it to be sustainable, something that you can really get behind and do, that you're going to be able to look at and say, hey, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to adapt this. Small change, 1% a day, and really go with that and become the person you want to be. So,
yeah,
I want to thank everybody.
Yeah, so powerful, so powerful. So yeah, unless Misty, you have something else to add?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I just think that, like Seb says, Atomic Habits is a must read for everyone. This book, I haven't even gotten past the first chapter. I keep going back and re-listening to everything. I get so many aha moments and so excited. It's like I have to start over. And now I want to go back and take notes. So I'm like, and I haven't got past the first chapter. So it's huge. It's a very impactful. Just have patience with yourself.
Give it a read. Give it a listen. Give this Hangout another listen, because you probably will hear things that you didn't hear the first time. And on that note, if you want the FLC merch, let us know. We can get that for you. And we will see you very shortly.
Yes, that shirt looks so awesome on you, by the way. Just have to say. So proud, so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so with that said, see you later, guys. Thank you for joining us. We loved it. Tune in next week when we are back. Back every week. It's going to get even better from here on. Bye.
Bye.
Closing is always easy when you're in Cardone U. We role play with Grant Cardone's team. They know just what to do. They're always there to support us. We couldn't ask for more. On our way in the right direction, we found what we're looking for. In FLC, in FLC. Closing is better with appointment setters. You'd better believe we're not a team but a family. We work together in harmony. We are devoted, and that you can quote me in FLC. We welcome the newbies gladly. We know there's so much to learn. We've got your back for a lifetime. There's no need for concern. Just look at the world around you. There's deals to close everywhere. And if you face an objection, what would Jabari say? In FLC, in FLC, objections are easy. If you don't believe me, I have to agree. We can role play at any time. To disagree, that is a crime. We're practicing to get the cha-chings in FLC. In FLC. Since we started training, our leads ain't complaining. They're so happy. We get to role play with Big Brother Dave. We've got Coach Sean, the best coach ever born in FLC. All of our closers, they keep their composure. 10x is the goal, Uncle G, well, he knows. We've got the spirit, and you've got to hear it. We're FLC.